If there is one thing in the world that would make me want to see a movie, it's the entire mainstream media in unison telling me not to see it. And okay, I know that's a little contrarian-brained, I know, but I'm at the point in my life where if the mainstream media told me not to put a metal fork in an electrical outlet, I'm putting the fork in the outlet. The taste of freedom. Very trad wife today. Very Little House on the Prairie today. Very QAnon coded. This is a dog whistle. So, I just saw The Sound of Freedom. And I want my money back. I waited 2 whole hours for the satanic elite cabal Democratic Party pizza parlor scene that I was promised by the media, and it never came. I bought tickets under the impression that it was some far-right Q movie, and instead, it was just some boring movie about human trafficking. Would journalists really do that to me? Would journalists really go on the internet and tell lies? For those of you who don't know, Sound of Freedom is an independent film from Angel Studios, based on a true story about Tim Ballard, a federal agent that went undercover and rescued trafficked children in South America. People have criticized the film for being a bit exaggerated, and I tend to agree. I mean, a good federal agent? Really? The Sound of Freedom was actually made around 2018, but was shelved by Disney and then later picked up by Angel Studios. Disney was like, no, sorry, we can't make this movie. We need to make the 500th soulless live-action remake. No time for this, we need to make live-action Moana, even though the animated one came out like last fucking Thursday. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the movie itself, what I honestly thought about it, if you should see it, then I'm going to get into the insane media circus surrounding this movie, because, oh my god. Also, there is a reoccurring character in the Shoe on Head cinematic universe that makes an appearance, and when he appears, you will scream. So I'm going to give you an extremely honest review of Sound of Freedom, completely unbiased and from the heart. It was aight. It was just a very normal, good movie. It had some pacing issues, there were a few corny lines. Never trust a pedophile. What if that was your daughter, Jorge? Hear that? That's the Sound of Freedom. I don't know why this movie is classified as an action thriller. I expected him to go like Rambo on the traffickers a few times, but that never happened. And I guess like that wasn't the point of the movie. The point of the movie wasn't some like bloodlust action film where a cop goes rogue and just like murders a bunch of dudes. It was just a really real and like raw story about human trafficking. It was very grounded in reality. I teared up about 3 times, maybe 4 times. I actually teared up during the corny ass "that's the Sound of Freedom" part. I was like so mad at myself for that. And a really important part that I just cannot stress enough is how apolitical this movie was. There was no politics, no culture war, nothing about the gays, nothing about the Jews. I left the theater like, that's it? It had no real narrative besides human trafficking bad, which is why I find the media's reaction so interesting. Article after article after article smearing this movie as far-right QAnon propaganda. Now, what exactly is the Q connection in this movie? What connects this movie to QAnon? Like, I don't know, maybe I missed the adrenochrome scene. Maybe Hillary Clinton came out and sacrificed a baby while I wasn't looking or something. So I went to the Wikipedia just to be sure I didn't miss any of the good scenes. Although the film does not mention any QAnon conspiracy theories. Oh. There was none. Caviezel has endorsed the belief that child traffickers drain children's blood to obtain adrenochrome, a chemical with supposed anti-aging properties. Okay, but doesn't Peter Thiel literally do that? So basically the main actor believes in some insane conspiracy theory about rich people trafficking children or something like that. Who believes in that crazy nonsense, am I right? Not me. No, but apparently he believes in like a bunch of QAnon type stuff, and he's a little kooky.
And Christ is your sword. May you join Saint Michael and all the angels in defending God and sending Lucifer and his henchmen straight right back to hell where they belong.
But who among us is not a little kooky? He's an actor in the movie. He didn't direct the movie. He didn't write the movie. So I don't know why all the criticism of the actor and his opinions are being lumped in with who is getting arrested out there. Stop it. Tom Cruise is a f***ing Scientologist. I didn't hear anyone shitting and pissing about the new Mission Impossible movie being a dog whistle for Scientology. You think Hollywood isn't infested with the weirdest f***ing people you'll ever meet in your life? An actor having conspiracies about rich, powerful pedophiles is probably the most sane thing you're gonna find there. In fact, you'll probably just find rich, powerful Files. Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Caviezel, best known for being tortured to death in Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ. What a bizarre way to describe someone playing Jesus in a movie. That's like someone playing JFK and being like, best known for getting his head blown off by the CIA. Also, yeah, maybe it is kind of a superhero movie for dads. Like Taken. Dads have children and will probably have a lot of empathy for children. It actually shows a lot of men crying. The QAnon movie, destroying toxic masculinity. It's a stomach-turning experience, fetishizing the torture of its child victims and lingering over lush preludes to their sexual abuse. At times, I had the uncomfortable sense that I might be arrested myself just for sitting through it. What? Were you horny? This movie didn't show much of anything at all. Maybe you walked into the movie theater where they were showing cuties. As implausible as the movie is, it invents a finale where Balor journeys deep into a jungle alone to pluck a girl from the clutches of guerrilla militants, which he accomplishes by posing as a doctor distributing cholera vaccines. One wonders if it was extreme enough for Caviezel's liking. So this happened in the movie, but I wonder what the actor thinks of it because he believes in something else. We were so close to actually reviewing the actual movie. The actor has taken to repeating the most grotesque falsehoods of the sprawling QAnon ideology, among them that traffickers are harvesting children's organs. Compared to this nonsense, Sound of Freedom is relatively grounded in our universe. Okay? But that mainstream accessibility makes it a valuable recruitment tool. A valuable recruitment tool? Oh no, if you watch The Sound of Freedom, you're gonna go down the right-wing rabbit hole. On the QAnon message board Great Awakening this week, adherents celebrated the movie's box office success. Damn, that's crazy, bro. I wouldn't know that because I don't go on QAnon message boards like you apparently do. I love that criticism of this movie is being stretched this far. It will surely do no good to point out Sound of Freedom's white savior narrative. I mean, it is kind of based on a true story, so like, he is white. He technically is a savior, so yeah, I guess he's a white savior. I'm sorry they didn't race swap the main character. I bet if Disney produced this like they were originally gonna do, maybe he would have been a woman or something, but no. There's visible suffering all around us in America. There are poor and unhoused, and people brutalized or killed by police. There are mass shootings, lack of healthcare, climate disasters, and yet, over and over, the far right turns to these sordid fantasies about godless monsters hurting children. Okay, wait, I agree, but like, can we not care about those things and also care about other stuff at the same time? I wish the far right cared about that other stuff, but like, I don't know, I feel like they're allowed to care about like, this topic too. Also, calling it fantasies is like really weird. Like, it's based on a true story, it's still a real thing that happened and does happen. Sound of Freedom is an anti-child trafficking fantasy fit for QAnon. Again with the QAnon in the title. Again. Also calling it a fantasy. Are these journalists like all in the same group chat? Are they all in like the same Discord server just copying each other's work? A few qualifications up front. The exploitation of children is a real problem that no one besides the exploiters wants. Well, okay, at least we can all agree on that. And most of the article is just about the actors' opinions. The movie itself is well acted, it looks expensive, and it moves at a rapid clip. I feel no urge to ever see it again, but I can't say I wasn't entertained in some way. Oh! Of course, this is tailored to go down easy. That's how propaganda works. God damn it. Sound of Freedom, the QAnon-adjacent thriller seducing America. I love this. I love this. QAnon tinge. QAnon adjacent. I love how, this has very QAnon vibes, sweetie. It's supposed to just be good enough to turn people away from this movie. Like, I imagine my mom reading this. She has no idea what QAnon is. Like, what does this even mean to the average person? Because they can't call the movie QAnon, because it's not. Oh look, more of the actor's opinions. He's a fucking conservative, of course he's retarded. The uninitiated may not pick up on the red yarn and corkboard subtext pinned to a mostly straightforward extraction mission in South America, pretty much taken with a faint whiff of something noxious in the air. Those tuned in to the eardrum frequency of QAnon, however, have heeded a clarion call that leads right to the multiplex. The traffickers are anonymous foreigners, mentioned as rebels, in an unspecified regional conflict with no connection to the alleged Clinton crime family. A coating of plausible deniability covers a film that takes care to be the most anodyne version of itself, all while giving those in the know just enough to latch onto. Yeah, so this movie had nothing to do with QAnon whatsoever, but it secretly did. These strains of scaremongering are absent in the text itself, but they lurk in the shadows. There's nothing bad in the movie. but it's lurking in the shadows. I'm gonna be completely honest, I think you might be the conspiracy theorist here. QAnon and Sound of Freedom both rely on tired Hollywood tropes by Noah Berlatsky. Noah Berlatsky. Noah Berlatsky. Where do I know that name? Meet Noah Berlatsky. Now our friend Noah has some interesting takes. Pedophiles are essentially a stigmatized group. Certain people get designated as deviants. People hate them. Parents are tyrants. Parent is an oppressive class, like rich people or white people. He also wrote a few blogs on the Prostasia website. Child sex workers' biggest threat: the police. Okay, let's back up for a second. There's no such thing as a child sex worker, Noah. That's called a human trafficking victim. He's the fucking journalist who got mad at me like a year ago for criticizing the Netflix movie Cuties. Angel Studios, which created the thriller, insists that the movie itself isn't related to QAnon, and after sitting through the 2-hour-long movie, I think Angel Studios has a point. The film doesn't explicitly reference QAnon talking points. Instead, in many ways, it echoes and reproduces themes and tropes around trafficking that are common in mainstream Hollywood cinema. The literal pedophile simp was more fair to this movie than the average journalist. He goes on to talk about how the movie is, like, inaccurate because 41% of children are actually trafficked from people they know, like, in their family. And maybe that's true, but, like, I don't understand how that's a valid criticism of the movie, because the movie is based on one thing. Like a real thing that happened. It's like watching a movie about a plane crash and being like, actually more people die in car accidents. They just kind of seem like they're reaching for literally anything. Is Sound of Freedom a QAnon dog whistle? Or is it just another thriller? The answer is that, whatever the filmmaker's intentions, it functions as both. Great, awesome, thank you. Thank you as always, Noah, for your delightful contribution to the discourse. I love this large disclaimer at the bottom here. We do not claim this man. If this movie came out a few years ago like it was supposed to, I really don't think anyone would have cared. People were literally coming at me like, oh, don't see this movie, it's a QAnon movie, and I'd be like, how is it a QAnon movie? And they'd be like, I don't know, I didn't see it. Then shut the fuck up. These people are literally just being told, the people you don't like this movie, so you have to not like it. You literally don't have to do that. Nobody has a gun to your head. Nobody's telling you to run offense for the human trafficking movie. Nobody's telling you to run defense for Cuties, and yet they do it. And let me make this clear, if you don't want to support this movie because you just morally disagree with one of the actors in it, that's fine. But don't go around smearing it as the Q movie when it's just factually not. You think if Eyes Wide Shut came out today, they would call it QAnon? Probably. I mean, they did kill the director shortly after. Now, the one big criticism I do actually share with the critics of this movie is the ending. At the end, after the credits, the main character gives this little speech about how important this movie was and how terrible human trafficking is.
Thank you all for coming out and watching this movie. I'm guessing some of you are feeling sad, maybe overwhelmed, or even a sense of fear, which is understandable. But living in fear isn't how we solve this problem.
And I expected him to, like, direct the audience to more information or how they can help or charities, but instead he just threw up, like, a QR code where you can buy more tickets to this movie for other people in order to spread the word. Which, I mean, sure, the movie's good and it will get people talking, but what can the average normal person do besides talking about your movie and buying tickets to your movie? It was the last thing we saw before walking out of the theater, and it just kind of left, like, a bad taste in my mouth. Like, you not only leave the theater feeling sad, you leave it feeling powerless. Like, oh, there's this terrible thing happening and I can't do anything about it except buy more tickets to this movie. I must save the children. It's like me being like, if you want to save the children, donate to my Patreon. So do I recommend this movie? Yeah, for 3 reasons. 1, it was pretty good. 2, so you can say you actually saw it and your criticisms will be valid. And most importantly, 3, to own the libs. So did you see this movie, and what did you think of it? And if you like this video, please subscribe, donate to my Patreon to save the children. It's the only way you can save the children, hurry! Never trust a pedophile.